Gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Scott, and I yield him as much time as he may consume.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of H.R. 923, the Emmett Till Unsolved Civil Rights Crime Act of 2007. This important bill enjoys wide bipartisan and bicameral support. The bill will assist federal, state, and local governments in the important task of solving unsolved civil rights era crimes. Mr. Speaker, at the recent joint hearing held by the subcommittees on crime, terrorism, and homeland security and the subcommittee on the Constitution, civil rights, and civil liberties, we heard from 6 excellent witnesses. The most moving of these were Myrlie Evers Williams and Rita Schwerner Bender, both of whose husbands the Ku Klux Klan assassinated because of the important civil rights work they were doing. The Klan assassinated Medgar Evers on June 12, 1963, and Michael Schwerner on June 21, 1964. The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Lewis, has asked us to take up this act now because it coincides with the anniversary of these 2 important events. In both cases, it took the government authorities decades before the killers were convicted of these brutal murders. Unfortunately, these cases are not isolated incidents. There are dozens of cases, probably hundreds, like these, some of which have never been acknowledged, investigated, or prosecuted. Indeed, we don't even know how many people were murdered during the 1950s and 60s because retaliation was so common that many families did not dare report that their loved ones had been murdered. The FBI has identified more than 100 cold cases that should be investigated and, when possible, charges should be brought against the accused killers. I support H.R. 923 because it will hold the Department of Justice and the FBI accountable for following through on these investigations and prosecutions. The Act requires the Attorney General to appoint a specific high-ranking employee in each agency to be accountable for this work. The Act also requires the Department of Justice to report to Congress annually on the progress it has made toward solving these cases, and the first such report is due 6 months after the bill becomes law. Lastly, the bill authorizes funds to the Department of Justice, the FBI, and, when appropriate, state and local enforcement agencies to investigate and prosecute these cases. The FBI has already made a start in investigating these cases when it kicked off the campaign, the Cold Cases campaign, in February 2006. It expanded on this campaign in February 2007 when it solicited assistance from major civil rights organizations. However, there's still much more work that needs to be done, and federal resources are necessary to do it. H.R. 923 will provide these necessary resources, so I urge my colleagues to support this important bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.